When I turned 70, I cooked a family dinner. But my daughter-in-law made me sit in the garage. That's how everything began. Thank you for being here with me. Stay with my story until the end, and let me know where you're watching from. I had spent the entire day preparing that birthday dinner, T3rd, the kind of meal that takes hours but used to bring me joy-roasted chicken, collard greens slow-cooked the way my husband liked, warm cornbread, the ham glazed with brown sugar until it shined under the kitchen lights. I set the table with the ceramic plates I only brought out on special days. Turning 70 felt like a moment that deserved something real, something warm, something that reminded me of the family I had raised. But by the time the food hit the table, I was standing in my own kitchen holding a tray of dinner rolls while my daughter-in-law Madison pointed toward the garage as if she were assigning seats at a bus stop. "There's no space at the table," she said lightly. "You can sit out there. It's quieter, quieter," as if the whole house wasn't already too quiet for me these days. My son Mark didn't even lift his eyes from his phone. "It's fine, Mum, just for tonight. Just for tonight." It lingered heavier than anything on the stove. The dining room glowed with warm lighting, laughter bouncing off the walls, plates being passed hand to hand. And then there was the empty folding chair that waited for me near the tool cabinet in the garage, sitting next to old paint cans and winter decorations. I didn't protest. I didn't even sigh. I simply nodded and walked there with the kind of calm people mistake for acceptance. The chair was cold. The air smelled like old cardboard and motor oil. The voices drifted through the thin door, soft, muffled, distant while I sat alone with the birthday dinner I had prepared for everyone but myself. I folded my hands in my lap, keeping my breathing steady. Dignity, I've always believed, is something no one can take unless you hand it to them. And that night, I didn't hand them anything. When the meal was over, no one came to get me. No one even looked for me. The lights dimmed, chairs scraped back, footsteps moved up the stairs. I slipped inside quietly and began cleaning the kitchen. Someone had left the foil crumpled over the ham the wrong way, a small carelessness that somehow said everything. The grandchildren were watching a movie in the living room. The adults were upstairs getting ready for bed. I was invisible in the middle of it all, walking between rooms like a shadow that didn't make noise. Later, when I sat on the edge of my bed, the house settling around me, memories crawled in. Thanksgivings where Madison took over everything and left my pie untouched, birthdays where my seat was suddenly missing, weekends where my spare key stopped working because they forgot to give me the new one. I used to excuse those things. Busy people forget. I'd tell myself families go through phases. But that night, sitting in the garage for my own birthday, those memories lined themselves up in a way I couldn't ignore. The next morning, the kitchen was cluttered with dirty plates and dried gravy. I cleaned, letting the warm water steady my hands, until I heard them talking upstairs. "She's getting too comfortable," Madison muttered. "She doesn't need to live here forever," she added. Then Mark's voice, soft but compliant, "We'll figure something out." I stood at the sink, water running over my hands, and let their words fall into place. Their plan wasn't sudden. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. When they came down later, Madison moved things around in the fridge as if I weren't there. She said they needed more space, and Mark murmured about senior places that would make things easier. For who? They didn't say. I didn't argue. My silence wasn't surrender, which was observation. Later that day, I stepped into the yard to water the azaleas my husband had planted before he passed. As I trimmed a dying bloom, I heard small footsteps behind me. "Grandma," it was Lily, my oldest granddaughter, her hair messy and her voice soft. She hadn't gone to brunch with them. She sat beside me at the table inside and pushed a cinnamon roll toward me. "I saved you one," she whispered. "I didn't want you to miss out." A small kindness in a house full of cold corners. Then she asked, "Why did you sit in the garage last night?" "Because that's where they told me to sit," I answered. She frowned. "But it was your birthday." Children see truth without filters. She looked at me with eyes full of worry and whispered, "Mum said you don't fit here anymore." The words stung. Not because they surprised me, but because they were spoken by a child who shouldn't have had to hear them. "I don't want you to leave," she said. "If you go, can I visit you?" Anywhere I go, you'll always be welcome, I told her, too. And it was then, her small hand resting on mine, that something inside me settled. Not anger, not fear, clarity. After she went upstairs, I walked through the house. I saw every quiet displacement. My sewing basket shoved into the garage. Pictures of me replaced with newer ones. My bedroom door left open after someone had been inside. They weren't just pushing, they were preparing. Stay. I found a real estate envelope on the side table addressed to my son. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. That afternoon, while the house was still, I took out the tin where my husband had kept important papers. Beneath old documents was the deed he signed before he passed. My name was first, not second, not optional. I held that deed like a lifeline. Then came the voices again, that evening whispers behind the bedroom door. She won't sign unless she's pushed, Madison said. We're pushing, Mark answered. I stepped back into the hallway, feeling something steady fill my chest. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to remember who this house belonged to. That night, I walked onto the porch with the tin in my hands. My husband used to say, "Don't let anyone rewrite your ending." I understood now. They weren't just trying to move me. They were trying to erase me. But I was still here. And I wasn't done. Thank you for listening to my story. If you want to hear the full journey, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and head over to HT Everyday Family Stories for the complete series. The link is in the description.